Hi everyone, and welcome to our episode 3 of the Checkmate, and we are glad that you are still part of this making. And as usual, your wonderful host Harold Turije, and I'm appearing with my friend, the Duke of Stagata, Nicholas Nwamanya. Good to have you.
Good to have you too, sir, as usual.
How was your week?
My week was good. Quite a lot of news from SEC in the NRM party. A lot of things that we're going to be discussing tonight. So a very exciting episode. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tell your friends about it. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome once again to the Checkmate.
I hope you didn't find it in Kololo.
Nah, far away from it, as you may know. But today we'll not talk about my political leanings, since the Checkmate aims to maintain a very
neutral perspective of things.
Yeah.
We just break down the news.
For sure we do.
So for everyone who's watching this episode, we are talking about the NRM SEC elections. We are talking about the Nachivuba channel. We are talking about the judges and expired contracts. We are talking about Chan. We're talking about the standard gauge railway and the accident that happened, I think, as part of the already existing railway. And also part of it, we'll be talking about the freedom of speech and social and economic rights in Uganda in light of the recent decisions that have been made here and there. Talk about Besigye's bail and some of the political prisoners as the tag is, and then also people who have been charged for saying some things about the mafuta mingi of this country. So welcome to the Checkmate, and when we come back, we'll be breaking into our first topical discussion of the NRM SEC elections. So, Nicholas.
Yes.
The NRM, the ruling party, had its Central Executive Committee elections. It took quite a while. The campaigning was even longer than the week where they were voting. And over 23,000 delegates were at Kololo to elect the next ruling chapter of the NRM as a party. What made news in the whole that whole exercise for you?
Well, I think tonight we can have so many talking points on SEC, the SEC elections, and the national delegates, for the NRM were together in Kololo. This is the biggest party and the ruling party.
That's true.
And so you expect that to a big extent, the way the elections are carried out for the delegates to choose the SEC members of the party will pretty much reflect on how the elections around the country are going to be carried around.
I get you.
So I think that one of the biggest talking points, of course, is the commercialization of politics.
Actually, it's very big because I think we had very many people come to talk about it.
Yes.
Museveni talked about it in the tweet he did following the conclusion of the exercise. The deputy speaker, Honorable Taiba, talked about it, and he was scared.
Yes.
Sanjay talked about it, who was actually, I think, Tanga Sanjay, who was standing as on the entrepreneur's post. And then also some of the losers that did not make it were shocked at how much one needs to win a voluntary service position such as that.
Exactly. A lot of money was being expended, some in the area of millions, we saw it by Kabanda, that one of the candidates was giving 1 million a vote. Others were saying 8 million per vote.
A vote.
And you're giving so many delegates in the thousands.
Someone did the math for, I think, the post where Kadaga was competing with Among, though not official, but the math was that around 6.9 billion was expended.
You can imagine. And so you wonder, for a place that is largely voluntary, why are they spending this much money? Now, I don't know if it was a previous episode also when we talked about the nature that the NRM party is run, or that the politics in Uganda has come to. And these people are not paying for a position that will pay them back. No? They are paying for something that they are paying for access.
I get you.
Why? Because this is a country.
A feeling of power.
This is a nation of deals. This is a nation of how your proximity to power, how much does it bring to you? So these people are not paying that there's a salary, there's allowances or something that they're paying so that they're in close proximity to the power center. Because being on SEC, is a very big thing.
But you see, for me, Nicholas, my biggest point is this. For such an election, and you have someone expending 6.9 should be around 1.8 billion, 1.8 million US dollars. Where is the source of that money? Because in a serious nation, someone to spend that kind of money, and it's not passing through the normal channels of financial monitoring. We have a financial intelligence authority. Someone is spending that kind of money. After spending on primaries, perhaps for the member of parliament seat, but there's no accountability, there's no lifestyle audit on how this money is coming in and how it's being spent. And these are leaders in a third world nation. That's where the worry is.
You see, Harold, it's not we don't need to be, it's not space science to ask yourself is where does this money come from? Because these people that are spending this money, we don't know them for any business. We don't know them for being great businessmen. We don't know any establishment apart from a few small schools.
I get you.
I don't think that a secondary school can give you that kind of money, or a small hotel in Chisasi. Can you get that kind
hotel
of money
was controversial for a little bit during Chan, but
so we understand how, if for example, if you can understand how the speaker's budget has grown over the past 2, 3, 4 financial years, you can get the picture.
Agora Discourse today broke a story about the Speaker of Parliament, and that there are, our Parliament, in the Speaker's office, there's a corporate social responsibility budget. And one of the sects that had been allocated 200 million, which the Speaker came out to say it was a donation to, I think, Nebi Hospital. And when they went on ground, the solar...
the panels were absent.
They were not there.
And that is just that whole SCR thing is just used as a cover, really, But we can debate that at a later date. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is not money that comes from some business. It's not money that comes from, you see, in the politics of, for example, the United States, the different parties that would benefit from a candidate's going through. Sometimes some of them are corporations, they need a bill to be pushed. Some of them are sectors that need favorable, maybe taxes or something, The fundraisers, they come together and say, let's support our candidates.
Who will push our agenda.
But in our country, most of the money comes really, really, really not from those kinds of places. But for office holders, I will not tell you where the money comes from, but you can read between the lines that money is not from their businesses or from the people they're pushing things for. It's right there.
There's a name that keeps coming up as far as that is concerned, and that's the name of Anite Among, AAA. And it was one of the most vivid battles that we've seen. But in the end, Rebecca Alitwara Kadaga, for the post of National Vice Chairperson female, gathered 902 votes, representing 7.2%. And AAA, the Speaker of the Parliament, 11,680, representing 92.8. But before the vote, there was a little bit of drama where there was presentation and the media got to it. And Kadaga was pleading history, was pleading age and experience, and tagging, even attacking the skin color of the opponent, who actually, in her wisdom, said, I shall not be speaking about Rebecca Alitwara Kadaga, that is our mama. And there were no personal attacks. And there was a famous speech that was done by Kadaga, which I want us to discuss before the election, where she was basically saying that I represent the interests of Busoga. You attacked me for speaker, I logged out. You are coming for this post again, I shall not accept it. And in the aftermath of the election, she actually threatened that if things do not change, she will be going out of the party to try her talents elsewhere.
Well, Harold, I think that if there's anyone who doesn't know when to leave, history has showed us that it is Kadaga. Because she had to be pushed out of the speakership, where there's a gentleman's agreement that when you serve 2 terms as a speaker,
let the deputy.
Let the deputy.
The unwritten agreement.
Unwritten rule, But of course, you can also question NRM's unwritten rules. I mean, there was an unwritten rule about Mama Mbabazi coming through. He never did. Gilbert Bukenya, so many things. So maybe she is following in the footsteps of the master.
Of what the party is represented as.
over time, everyone who has watched General Museveni and his politics knows that Museveni has a certain distaste for people who think they owe him something, who think he owes them something, you know? And systematically, Kadaga is not, yes, Kadaga has been there, she has been great, she has been a staunch supporter of the party, a pillar of the party, especially bringing the Basoga together into, you know, the NRM and pioneering projects, girl child things, whatever, everything. But she cannot say that she has been the biggest supporter for everyone that Museveni has put aside since they left the Bush War.
Anite Among's card was, I have converted, I think 11 or 12 formerly opposition MPs.
We can discuss Anita a little bit later, but for Kadaga, she has to know where is General Sejusa, you know, Tumukunde, you know, everyone who fought and shed blood for Uganda to be liberated. Do you think that you're more important than those people?
So is it a case of entitlement?
No. I'm coming to that. But I'm just trying to say that history does not repeat itself. It's just us who fail to learn. You know? So Kadaga should not feel that she is different. And this is not a case of, as some people say, the party used her, they used and up. No, she used the party. She also used the party to climb on the stairs.
It was a two-way street.
Because you see, you must understand when power is borrowed. And that's the thing that many people fail to understand. That the power that you have to say you're a speaker of parliament. Yeah? That's why Anita Among, everywhere she goes, she has to say, this is God the Father, want God the Son, then the God the Mother. Why
she knows
does
what
she
brings.
She has, because our politics has come to a level where you must be a sycophant. You must sing praises for the Almighty to hear you. If the Almighty does not hear you and you're in his wrong books, it doesn't matter whether if you're a general, it doesn't matter if you're 4 stars, it doesn't matter if you're Speaker of Parliament, it doesn't matter if you're Vice President. Everyone who holds office in this country, and almost in every sector, I'm not talking about just judiciary or executive, even in the legislature, you know, is that power
one time
is delegated to them by the appointing officer. The moment, okay, not the appointing officer in legal terms, but you know.
There's something that General Mount said on his X-handle yesterday in response to President Museveni's post. And he was saying that one thing that I can applaud you for, Mr. Museveni, is that you have successfully broken the moral decency of all the Ugandans. And it's not true per se that Ugandans are intellectually deficient. It's that we lack character to stand for the nation and to stand for what is right. And that's why some of the sharpest brains that we knew can say something in defense of the government or some of the things that are obviously wrong, but you understand where they're coming from, that their character has been broken to something that serves them and they must serve power. But I'm afraid that we must switch to something related to...
Just before we switch, I wanted to say in the battle between Kadaga and Anite Among, who are the winners?
I think the
NRM is the winner. Because to be honest, if I was President Museveni right now...
I think Museveni is the winner, not the NRM.
No, okay, well, the party, Museveni, and by extension, the party. Because if you look at those two ladies, surely Anita Among has had a grasp over the last 5-8 years of the party, of the delegates, of the younger generation, and really on the plate of the NRM right now, she contributes more. That's why Kadaga's appeal was more historical. We did this, I delivered this, but this is all in the past.
I get you.
But the tides are changing, and the tides must change, and change must come. So at the NRM, or Museveni is the winner. And I think that in his view, honestly speaking, Anite Among will be the better choice for the party. In any party that wants to go forward, that wants young people, that wants the generation, the tides have changed, and people must understand that the tides have changed.
Talking about tides changing, still on the same election, I think we've noted a change of tides in terms of the old guard and the new guard. So let's talk about the winners and the losers. And I will start on this. I think for me, the highlight, apart from the Kadaga and Anita Among issue, was the Western representative, where the state minister, Chris Bariomunsi, for ICT, I think, and national guidance, I believe. Information and national guidance was, I think by percentage, he had 33.6%, and the winner being Asima Jonat with 58.9, gathering 4,044 votes. And we even have people like Kamcha Blaze defeating the indomitable Mawanda, the MP for Igara East, who has had some scandals and is one of the faces of the PLU. I think towards the end, he had to drop out of the election, citing that it was not fair. Who was your winner? Who was your loser in?
Well, but almost he sits in cabinet, and I think so many people were delighted that you see he has a certain arrogant predisposition towards his national guidance. So many people were saying that it was a good thing that he lost. Janad is new blood, and like I said, tides are changing, and this election, if there's anything it has showed, it is that change has come and change is inevitable. And we can debate whether this is it was intentional that the man in the High Castle decided that let there be change, or it was as the tides decided. Because
was it a shock to them?
Because apart from the two gazetted positions of the national chairperson and the vice national chairperson,
being Alhaj Moses Chigongo,
every other person is new. Is a new face on the.
Yeah, because you have Aruna Kasoro for Central.
Yes.
Then the new Entrepreneurs League, also Mike Mukula saw the exit.
Mike Mukula was from the East. For the
East. Then Entrepreneurs, there's a gentleman, I forget the name, but also still a new face.
New face, but also considerably younger. So you see the likes of Mukula, Badio Munsi, Kadaga, Angola was defeated in the north, although he was not an incumbent. You see the Jim Muhwezes are going out. There is an ushering of younger blood, as if the NRM was an astute party. This would be a point of celebration to say we have transition. This is intergenerational, This has the ability to grow from one generation. It's leaving behind one generation, coming down to the other, However, you also want to ask yourself, was this an accident?
I get you.
Or this is what the man planned?
Because everyone is now talking about whichever way you want to look at it, either succession or transition. To say that there has been a rise of the PLU-leaning politicians, which is now evident in both the people that won the NRM primaries and these SEC elections, because some of the faces that took the day are a representation of PLU that is backing the first son in what is said to be the succession or the transition. Is it something, or it's overcooked by the analysts?
I think that is overcooking, because personally, this is what I think. You see, the PLU, what is the PLU? PLU is Mohozi's outfit.
I get you.
And like we said before, every young politician right now, the politics that we have in the land are politics of showing excessive zeal. I will not sick of as it sounds a little bit, but showing excessive zeal. Fanaticism towards the principle, So the young politicians, that's why the old politicians feel that their contribution to the nation should guarantee them a place on the table.
I get you.
That's why they cannot salute for the young man. They cannot be found saying now this is my generational leader. No, this one, they know him as a boy. He used to maybe come for cabinet meetings when he was there playing in the stand, so they cannot respect him, But then the young ones that are coming, the Daudi Kabandas of this world, the Anite Amongos of this world, the younger generation that is coming, must seek a place beyond, because previously there had been a rumor that maybe Museveni may not come back in 2026. Yeah? So they had to seek a place of continuity. And what better place of continuity than to say, I'm
siding with the next possible solution.
The next possible solution, the next possible big thing. So that's how most of these politicians come to be associated with PLU. I don't think that it's not the other way around, that PLU now is positioning its members. No, it's just members naturally falling in line in the NRM. But saying the people like Kasolo, like who, these are young people, are saying, what if the tides change?
I get you.
I want to be found in the good books of the party. So what is the continuation of this party? The continuation of this party. And that's why I saw a gentleman, I forget, Dr. Jesus Christ. This is really, really into writing articles. He's a doctor at MOOC.
Oh, that is Bashir?
No. forget the name, I'll let you know. He was saying that there is no NRM post Museveni. And I respected that opinion, because when you look at these people positioning for PLU, why are they not saying, let's liaise behind the next NRM candidate after Museveni? Why are they saying, as soon as Museveni goes, we are switching parties from NRM to PLU? Why not from the NRM, from Museveni to the next candidate? Why are they not saying maybe NRM something after post Museveni or something? Because they know that the NRM is ending with Museveni. And the gentleman said that one of those two entities cannot be without the other.
That should be Dr. Kazibwe, I think. That's the gentleman, because he was also saying something like that on NTV this week, talking about what do the elections of this kind represent in such a time as this, both for what he was describing as a leadership crisis that we have and the transition and how it will play out. So we wait to see how that will turn out.
Sure we do.
Especially now that nominations for the next big thing is that the nominations for members of parliament and return of those forms will be taking the storm for the months of September, and the campaign starting thereabouts October and November. We hope for peace, and we hope that the choice will drive the country.
And the rule of law, so that
absolutely
our entities of that preserve peace and security can be fair and just, and allow candidates to campaign in a fair manner that will reflect in the election results.
I thank you. You say that with a lot of pain in your eyes.
Yeah, because of what we have seen, and because of, you see, at this election, before we leave, people were crying foul at, first of all, the nature. 23,000 delegates. How many years in power as a party of the NRM that metamorphosed from the NRA, you know? And you cannot organize, ask yourself, why can't they organize, a ballot box election? Why?
For context, NRM spent 20 billion to organize this. Yes, and initially every delegate had received 700,000. When Museveni came, I think it was on the third or fourth day, they cried that they were not in very human conditions, and he ruled that every delegate receives extra 100,000 Uganda shillings, and that's how we got to the 20 billion that was disbursed by this party to organize this.
And then just yesterday, the delegates who carried children were saying they also need money for their children. That's the kind of party that is at the helm of this country's politics. But I was telling you that the nature of the voting, and even of the counting votes, and the nature of the general spirit around the votes has a story to tell.
I get you.
Lining up, first of all, facilitates commercialization of politics. How? If someone has kept you in their hotel, fed you, like they were saying
and given you some money.
Yeah, they were saying some candidates were hiding people in Kenya. As far as Kenya, they want to see you behind their backs, and that is something that they are going to see and be like, Harold, I gave you my money, you need to be behind my back, So you want to ask yourself why they cannot organize secret ballots for 23,000 delegates. The other day we saw Tanga Odoi, doctor, counting people, 140, 150.
And there was another clip where he was swearing that he will never find himself in such business of counting people back to back.
Back to back, you see? And for me, I don't blame him, because honestly speaking, those are imagine you're counting 5 lines, every line has 500 people are lining up. You're going to get tired. I don't think that he was doing that.
Political science.
I don't think that he was doing that intentionally, because he was on camera, people are seeing. That's not the kind of reputation you want on your name, but the man is honestly tired. The system is tiresome. It's rudimentary. For a party that has been in power for 40 years, you must need to do better. It must need to do better.
I see the producer giving me a bad eye.
Oh.
I think we need to switch the topic.
Please.
And we are talking about public-private partnerships with a special outlook and focus on the Nachivubo channel. For context of our viewers who are viewing this, we're giving you context that the proprietor Hamis Chigundu of a famous Nachivubo stadium now sought a proposal where he wants to use the 9-kilometer long Nachivubo channel to develop it and put buildings on top and a resting park, and also manage the sewage system, which is right now in a very bad state. The politics of it is that while there was opposition at the very beginning, later the president of this Republic of Uganda wrote to the Prime Minister instructing her to let the deal go through, saying that there was full support for the project. The other side of the story is that KCCA, under the sitting of the mayor, Omulodi Elias Lukwago, who was in opposition of the proposal, met opposition from the National Unity Platform-dominated council. And the council members of dominantly NUP were in support of Hamisi's Chugundu project, which the Lord Mayor described as sheer betrayal to the opposition. But also the other side of what made news through Monitor, NTV, and Observer is that while the relevant committee on parliament had decided to sit to listen to the proposal and the artistic impressions that had been released by the businessman, but were stopped by the speaker to say that another committee would handle that. And the proceedings did not proceed. What stood out and what did you read out of that story of the Nachivoba channel, Nicholas?
Well, thank you, Harold. I think that the story of the Nachivoba channel needs to be studied further, but we cannot discuss about it in one facet. We are looking at how have the previous public-private partnerships fared,
played out.
You know, what are the influences? If something is being built out of a fair process to bring a good result, why must a letter come from State House sidelining NEMA?
Where are the systems?
Sidelining all the systems saying, no, award him. First of all, why him? He's always getting deals to do the stadium. Is what he promised around the stadium the same thing that he did? Does he have a track record of keeping promise in PPFs?
Yes, they said there's a very big channel, poetically and pun intended, between the artistic impressions he releases
and the final product. But also, if a committee of parliament says, let's investigate, let's look further into it,
why not allow it to do its job?
So
checks and balances,
exactly.
Basics of it.
So I'm saying that the spirit surrounding this whole thing is plugged into circumventing due process. And you must ask yourself why. What are they hiding? Why can't they let, if something is going to be okay, and why can't they let the committee of parliament look into it? Why can't they let NEMA, the man was scared. You remember the saga around,
I get you.
The mayor going to see it's not because he doesn't want him to meet, but it's because a letter has, put yourself in his shoes. A letter has been sent from State House. That's way above your pay grade. And for
an issue that started even in the reign of Alhaji Nasa Ntege Sebagala, yes, because Nachivubo question was in play. Yes. Who is to develop it and how is it to be developed?
And the mayor said so many people have
tried,
including the deputy speaker.
Yes.
But they have been put down before. So a letter has come from State House.
Directly saying, let this one.
And even the people that have been copied to that letter, your organization, your entity, NEMA, that is supposed to be overseeing these things and giving plans and viewing plans and giving go-aheads, has been
cut out of the
people
pipeline.
That, then how do you entertain the mayor? You're putting your job at risk.
I think I should tell the viewers and give context.
The question is, Harold, how have PPFs performed before? What PPF can we look at and say, this one has performed well, we can now trust there are other PPFs to perform?
The Umeme concession made this country over $100 million in about 7 years after. Let me just give context to the viewers. Most of the recent PPP projects that we have had, in transport, we have the Rift Valley Railways and Pioneer Bus Company. We know how that story ended, where there was a discussion on giving a private company part of the managing transport within Kampala. We know how that story ended. In energy, we have the Bujagali Hydro, which is also a private public partnership. We have the Eskom Hydro project. We have the Umeme distribution, which has now seized, and there is an ongoing arbitration in London about how that ended. We have the Agreco thermal plant, which has also not lived to see its great success, and there's a lot to say on that. Then mini hydro Severos in West Nile, The West Nile Power Grid is also a private-public partnership. In water, there are small-town water
Yak
projects.
Sugar?
I don't know the details of Atiak Sugar being a combination of both, the government and private. But also maybe the example of the local markets that we see that were built under MATIP 2. Some of them are private-public partnership. We actually have an act that governs. We have a Public-Private Partnership Act of 2015, and we actually have a special committee and a framework policy to guide who should take what and when can government partner with a private individual or company to do a project. So do we have an issue that even when the results might be there, the process of how these awards are made leaves a lot to be desired?
Well, personally, Harold, I don't think that. Let me use example. Let me use just a small example of, say, a wedding. Yeah, if you have seen a girl, you have desired them, there is a natural process of progression that things must take. Because you have the intentions are righteous. You have seen them, you want to make them your wife. So why would you say, for us we shall not do kuchara, or we shall hide away from kuhinja, then I don't want her parents to meet me? Every time there is frustration of due process, the question is, and most of these things actually start from procurement, from how have you identified Ham to be the person with the best plan to develop that land? Was it advertised that Nachivubo needs developers so that people can,
Many people had been bidding.
Many people had been bidding for so many years, about 15, 20 years. People are bidding to build something. All of them are sidelined.
I get you.
Until one day when the president says, Ham showed me something, then let's, The question is, why that one?
So it's more of the process than...
They are the best plans, So it's more of, it's when it frustrates due process, you start to ask yourself, who is going to gain? Who's going to benefit from this thing?
And I think our countrymen do not care about how things run as long as they are perfect. I don't think, apart from the cost and the compensations that were incurred with the loan, for example, for the Express, people have an issue on how it is operating. So you can play the politics, but do not disadvantage the Ugandans, because eventually they are the ones to pay. We have a perfect example of what Umeme represented, how much the government lost in a very bad deal that was bled out of just selfishness. So that's where maybe Ugandans have an issue. And we
but also,
hope...
you see, Nachivubo channel is at the center, is in the city center. It affects a lot of business downtown. So any slight problem in its development is going to be affecting business on a major scale. That's why Ugandans have gotten up to say no. Is this thing because they know anything that happens on that channel is going to affect them. Actually, the whole of downtown, it could flood the whole place. If it is, shadow work is done. So I think Ugandans have started to see that a government dealing on this part, if it's going to affect me, I have a part to play in the decision that is being made.
Here at the Checkmate, we focus on informing the viewers.
Yes.
Just to give perspective to this, the World Bank gives parameters on what are the drivers of successful public-private partnerships. It talks about political stability and the will. It talks about very good legal frameworks. That's where we have a gap. It also talks about a political commitment from the political players. It talks about the technical and management capacity from both sides, which is, I think, one of the issues that we had with Umeme and the negotiation bit.
Political and technical.
And technical management capacity. So some of these things where we have a problem...
You're talking about the technical management capacity, and I remember the story of Uganda Airlines, where they were going to procure aeroplanes, and the people that were going was the head, the one of financing,
yes,
the one of, I think, human resource. And then these people were like, but you guys
have zero...
No technical person on board. How are you if we tell you this is the kind, this is the engine make, this is the longevity, how are you going to ascertain? I mean, you're just a head of an institution.
Uganda Airlines actually made 7 years today. But 7 years later from when that news broke, we have news that they indeed purchased bad planes, to put it the exact way that was bought.
That is the same thing that I'm telling you about PPFs. Is that these deals are negotiated for just for personal gain in the moment. So people don't mind if Umeme is going to stay for 20 years. 20 years later at their exit, how much are they going to take from the economy?
I get you.
That is not what they're looking at. We had talked about here before, I think on the checkmate, the deal of the tickets on the road.
Yes.
The
EPS.
The EPS system. Very poorly.
There were victims behind the corridors. There were 3 or 4 companies, and in fact the company that had the best bid on paper was not even close, because for them they wanted the same way you have airtime, there's express punishment, and it is, I'm using the word airtime carefully, it is chopped off your phone immediately. That is what it was supposed to be, and the guidelines were there and on everything. In fact, there's a rumor that one of the people that were behind that and were fully supporting it was General Kahinda Otafire, who actually even said that he wrote to the president to explain which of the companies available should have the deal. But we have a deal that is brokered the Ugandan way, and then it brings what was there, and they have to retract. I think even the suspension might go up to January, with no clear systems. There were gaps in the company from the country of origin. We can go on and on talking about this. But before we depress Ugandans, I think we need to give them some positive news on what made the headlines also this week. And we are talking the standard gauge
railway.
I hope you know about that. Because, to just give perspective, when this railway line was being launched by the 5 presidents, there's a quote that Museveni said, and it was typical of him with statistics, and they give perspective. I applaud him for that. And he quoted and said that a 40-foot container costs $3,500 from Mombasa to Kampala by road. But if there was a railway station, it would, and a system, it would cost $1,500. That would be cutting the cost with more than a half. Yeah. And he said a similar container in Peking, Beijing, in Shanghai, China, would cost less than $1,500 for transport. So the prices that we have and the issues there is what he says prompted for this project that would be in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, and South Sudan by extension. And the total cost of that is 75 million euros that have been released by Uganda. Of course, the total cost for all the 273 kilometers is way huge. It's in trillions, but Uganda has finally released its part after a long wait. In fact, it was supposed to be released in April, but it has finally been released, and we can tell that the construction is going to begin with the 75 million euros to kickstart the project. What do you say in terms of savaging our reality of the transport system and the cost of trade in this country?
Well, I think that one, I've used the SGR. I've been to Mombasa and back through Nairobi, from Nairobi to Mombasa and back, and watched its cargo thing. I think what it is going to do to Uganda is that if we have enough political will, the SGR will be a really, really, really good development. Brings the cost of goods down.
Very.
Depopulates our roads that are already congested.
With trucks.
Because a single carrier thing can carry a load that maybe 50 so many trucks can carry. Imagine we get them off the road in Namamve, in
Jinja Kampala
highway. The roads get less
burdened,
congested.
The wear and tear reduces.
Yes, but also the cost of doing business goes significantly down. And as someone who is in that kind of line of business, I think it's going to be a very, very welcome development. Because you see, even when the colonialists, the British, came, when you look at where they put the railway, you're going to look at, of course back then, the roads were not good. Most of the places were still bushes. But they took the railway to where they were getting commodities from. Kasese, where they were getting cobalt
from,
and everything. And all the places where they were getting
where there was business interest.
Yes, where there were
ginger for the manufacturing and the factories.
For the goods, the raw materials, coffee and whatever that people were producing, that in every place that production was happening, whether in mining
They
or
extended
agriculture.
the line.
They extended a line to ease the access, but also to cut down the cost of production. So I think that it's a welcome thing, and I hope that we shall have the political will. And when I talk about the political will, I remind you about what we're discussing about here on this same podcast about roads. A road is planned, takes 5 years, compensation becomes an issue. Then by the time you realize it,
People are eating layers.
a road that was supposed to take maybe, let's say, 20 billion is now, they're saying
Almost
it's now,
double, yes.
It's almost double or more than.
So these 273 kilometers that we are talking about will be what will stretch from Malaba border to Kampala. But the bigger plan is that after it reaches in Uganda, there's an extension of 1,724 kilometers that will be extending in Kigali, in Congo, and in South Sudan, which will be very wonderful news
I think
the people that trade in South Sudan.
I think, honestly speaking, this is a very good development if we can follow it through. But also, as we plan the standard gauge to pass through all these countries, we need to strengthen our diplomatic relations, because we are putting the SGR in a country that previously closed its borders to us and partially opened it. Up to now, I don't think the borders are fully as operational as they used to be before the incident in our southwestern neighbors. Kenya, every often than not, they ban our eggs from going there, then we ban their charcoal from coming in, then they say now your maize has aflatoxins, it can't come in. Then we keep that squabble. They also have been having squabbles with Tanzania.
Yes.
They ban this, Tanzania bans that. Very retaliatory, And Rebecca Kadaga, the Honorable, had done really, really well to try to stabilize the tensions.
And bring in the realities of what the East African community was meant for.
Yes, and of course you have Sudan, very problematic neighbors. But the one that I'm excited for is Congo. We've tried to construct a road there, but because of the tensions, but there is a lot of potential in the Congo that you can tap in. A market of 80 million people is something that we should be really, really, really excited about.
Arua is a booming city because of Congo's neighborhood. Yes. And it should actually form a blueprint of how much trade can open where there's preparation for it. The people go to Arua actually and cause inflation.
Yeah, they do.
Just by crossing a border. And with the extension of the roads and how much more the government can do, except for, we know the sad story of what happened when our generals went there and how much we have to pay from the International Court of Justice ruling and everything. And I think the ICC ruling. But the issue is, can we be disciplined enough to implement these perfect plans on paper and put the country in a good place? So if this is implemented as it is, it would be a very big win for our trade and ease the movement of the people.
I think at the end of the day, that's why I started with saying, I hope we have the political will. Because where there's a will, there's also going to be a way. But where there's no will, things are going to come on board, everyone is excited, and the scavengers are there to benefit from, some of the sectors of that construction. It just never kicks off. But I'm delighted about the news of the SGR. It should change people's lives. But like I said, we must be strategic in securing these alliances and to make sure that there is seamlessness in business transactions. Otherwise, if the SGR is here and people can't take eggs, can't bring in maize, can't do this, can't send foodstuffs to Rwanda, can't import from the Congo, then what's the purpose?
Let's move the pieces on this chessboard faster and now go to the realities of the communication from Besigye's lawyers that he was not interested in continuing the trial before Justice Baguma of the High Court Criminal Division. Citing bias, there were letters that were exchanged and basically emphasizing that position that the two clients, Besigye and Haji Abed Lutare, were not interested in appearing before the judge again. And in fact, that the bail application that was coming in had to be deferred. But I want us to discuss that in light of the other bail rulings that have come up, in light of the Constitutional Court ruling regarding the status of our court-martial, now de facto. Because what these judges are saying, and we have Justice Kania saying the same thing, and also Baguma saying it again, that there is no place for automatic bail for these people that had formerly been charged under court martial, because they have not been in custody for all the 180 days, because they have not been charged formally before our orthodox courts. So you have this political persecution that is being tagged like that by the opposition, but you have also this judicial view of things that is basically saying that I'm just following the law, and the law on automatic or mandatory bail says that you must be in jail on remand for 180 days. Please, is it more of a strategy by government to curb the people down and handle the case on its merits, as opposed to the natural flow of justice?
I think that Dr. Besigye and Obaid Lutale, what they're trying to do is, because you can't, if you say you will not appear before Justice Baguma again, the question is, what if that case is referred to Justice Sekana?
Who is Justice? You are safe because he's now at the Court of Appeal. So
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say is that it's not these people. It's not about which judge you will stand under.
It's a system.
It's just a system. And I feel like you sometimes you read a judgment and you know this is not the mind of a land judge. You really know that it's not, especially with the precedents of their past judgments, you understand. You see, something has changed.
There was a phone call before.
I don't know, but just this is a different tone. This is not their voice. This is not even their writing, So I don't see that what Besigye and Haji Obaid are trying to show the nation is that
we are fighting the system.
The system has been turned around. We are not up against the matter is not being judged on its merits. It's just that we cannot penetrate the system. And the question is, if the system has been compromised, where else can you run? That's the question Ugandans must ask themselves. Because if you say all schools in Uganda are bad, you will not say that for me, my child, I'll take them to we have seen
the health sector mock them all the time for those who think that they are not affected by the political status and how things are in the country.
Yes. So, but I think that ultimately the winner of this whole thing is the people that want to make Ugandans feel that we can actually incarcerate you, frustrate you, keep you away, and break your will.
Is it in preparation of 2026 elections to say that if such men are out by the state, they would cause trouble?
To say that it is a preparation of 2026 election is to be short-sighted. This is how this government wants to rule going forward. And just 2026 to this government is just a small hurdle in the road. This is a lengthy plan. This is post 2026.
So for context for the viewers, we want to bring this into perspective to tell you that there were people who were arrested as a result of the rallies that were taking place in the 2021 elections that are still in prison on remand and haven't been fully gone through trial and sentenced. And it's 5 years. We're going to vote again,
yes,
when they are still in Chitalia, in Luzira, and it's that bad, the extent of the injustice that we are talking about.
So you ask yourself why. There was another story of a TikToker who has been on remand for 10 months, thereabouts. Why would someone be on remand for just, uttering out some things? Because you see, when I think TikTok came and these social media platforms, what happened is people started to voice out their opinions.
I get you.
So many people came up, and these people out their opinions because they are not either professional or these are basic
trained
people.
Journalists. They're just speaking their minds.
They're saying things out of the purview of, you can't say allegedly. That is not in the language of the common man when he's analyzing why a road has not been made. He just say they stole this money,
And Nicholas, that is protected by Article 44 of the Constitution. It's clear. You are doing nothing that is against what is unacceptable in a free and democratic nation. There's a very detailed judgment of Andrew Mwenda when he was speaking about Museveni and the deals and guns. And the Constitutional Court was very clear to say what is acceptable in a free and a democratic society. That saying something that makes you uncomfortable does not take away my right of freedom of speech. And that freedom of speech is subject to your other rights, but in this case, that would be limited. Because the gentleman that you're talking about that was charged, I think, at Entebbe Chief Magistrates Court, was speaking against the president, the first lady, the first son, and the speaker, saying how there was a succession plan, speaking about the appearance of the speaker, and saying how they were stealing from the country and stuff like that.
And then you notice a pattern.
Let's discuss CHAN. How Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania in the Pamoja bid successfully hosted the CHAN tournament that is about to be concluded. For context, and I always like the figures, is that Uganda spent 13 million US dollars in its bid, which of course CAF gives you again to spend. And also I think they spent 1 billion towards the promotion of the whole campaign. And I was seeing the figures that on the average per match day, they would be spending 147 million. But let's talk about, and of course our team went out, was eliminated by Senegal in the quarterfinals, losing 1-0. We have hosted the third placement playoff, I think, and the final is coming. Uganda, though the ticket was cheap, but it had the most expensive in the region. It was cheaper in Kenya and in Tanzania. There was confusion about where our players were sleeping in the hotel in Chisasi. But on the large, it was a successful tournament with a few or no glitches as far as the pitch is concerned, the preparation, the e-ticketing. And it made news because we're talking about it because it dominated the news, and it has for the past 3 or so weeks.
The planning, for the thing that you want in the end, because the AFCON thing, AFCON is coming in 2027. That's about a year or so.
And Hoima City Stadium is taking shape.
The Hoima City Stadium has taken shape.
Sima is doing a very wonderful project.
Very, very wonderful. So you want to say, what are the things that we need to successfully host these people? First of all, we need roads. So that you cannot plan now in absentia of the central planning unit of the country or of the city. Let's say we are playing in Kampala here.
We've had residents of Mukono and thereabouts crying about the traffic on match days.
Today I was actually with someone who stays in Chirinya, and he's been saying on match days,
it's terrible.
I want to remain home.
I have a friend who, on some of the match days, slept around Kampala hotels. Just I can't go back to Mukono and make it in time for my schedules the next day. So
if you want to be successful, to have people come over to host some of those tournaments, we can do it. Rwanda does it, and they're much smaller economically compared to us. But we must be able to say, if how are we are applauding Suma for doing the Hoima Stadium really well. What are the roads that go to Hoima? Can players find, can a pitch camp and say we are pitched camp in Hoima? There's an airport coming up. Can we just be flying from there to play our games and go back? Something like that. Can the hotels
good planning be
sufficient to take care of all the people? Is the security enough? There's a friend of mine I told you lost 2 phones in the qualifiers of AFCON qualifiers and vowed never to go back to Namboli.
I get you.
So
that one, at least the teeth were spared. People lose phones and teeth.
You have to work on security. We have to do our road systems. I'm glad the e-ticketing thing has come, and of course many Ugandans had not warmed up to it until they now couldn't get a ticket. Now that's when they knew it was serious.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the change in culture that we need. The people that we are not going to just line up and fight for who gets in first. No.
And they are forged and NASA road tickets. Yes.
You apply for a ticket online and you get it. It has your ticket number, it has a section you'll sit on, it has your seat number, and everything is organized. But on the whole, I want to applaud them. I want to applaud FUFA and the people there. They've done a wonderful job.
We should credit the state minister.
The national team has done well.
Ogwang has done a wonderful job.
He has done a wonderful job. I'm told the cabinet minister has also been in some meetings with FUFA asking for accountability and making sure that the local sports gets to some mileage. So I applaud them. They do, because sports,
But those flowers were taken away by FUFA and the new format of the Uganda Premier League, because it also made news, and there's been letters flying around here. For the first time, we saw the unity of Mulindwa and Mandela jointly opposing this.
Yes, I am very proud to belong to SC Villa, and our chairman of the party of the club, Mandela, came out to oppose, and our and our board. Same with Mulindwa, and I think I saw a letter from council. I don't remember.
At first, I think they changed positions, now leaning towards some amendments.
Yes. Yes, but shame upon Express FC. I mean, you're a victim, you're a historical
Mukwano gw'abanji is no longer Mukwano gw'abanji.
It's a shame. However, I think that this kind of system is something that should be implemented. Cannot be implemented immediately. We're counting just a few weeks to the new season starting. Teams have made their budgets.
You drop a bomb.
Teams have made their budgets. Teams have made, and those budgets depend upon entry fees into the stadiums and everything. And then you just try to overhaul this whole system.
I think for me, the biggest tilt was in terms of sponsorship. Because if you're crying that the league should grow, teams need sponsorship to be able to pay better their players and etc. But if you have a scenario where now the sponsor will not sponsor a mid-table team, knowing that it might drop out earlier and play lesser matches, so it's even harder for you to grow the bigger picture of the league and see, because when Uganda lost its first match against Algeria, the speech that was given by the FUFA president was saying we are losing because our league is not up to the standard of the other African nations. But if you're not doing something, I don't think this was an immediate move to make for you to demonstrate that you want to lift the league to that standard that he was talking about.
Well, I hope the conversations can continue. You see, the problem with Uganda is that people are intimidated. I don't think that the rest of the 16 minus 3 is what?
That's 13.
The rest of the 13 PL teams are really warming up to the project. First of all, they're looking at how it advantages them, because some of the small teams don't have gate collection fees.
Yeah.
So when they look at that sharing, that car revenue, then for giving them some money, they prioritize it over
the big names
picture,
that.
But also, there is a place where some people are intimidated by the FUFA president. So they
don't
want to be seen to be in opposition.
So that's why only the big clubs are coming out.
Yeah, all the big clubs that,
that have nothing to lose and think they're bigger than
they can stand on their own, are coming out to say, no, this is not a good proposal.
And they have the biggest sponsorships, of course. So.
And they have the financial muscle. And they're saying this proposal is not the best to push this league forward. So I hope that the conversation can be held in a very neutral environment, so that these decisions are not forced. Because if you put it to a vote, definitely these guys will lose.
Of course.
13 clubs are saying let's do this.
Yeah,
we're okay with this.
I know we've discussed a lot. I know a lot made news, and for someone who does not watch news, has gotten a hold of what has been happening in our beautiful Pearl of Africa, which I believe will get better and better, and we can't go back to where we came from. So what was your biggest highlight for the week that we are bidding farewell? And what are you looking forward to next in the coming weeks?
Well, my biggest highlight, we have discussed, surely the news was on NEC, because
on
SEC, sorry. What happens at the biggest political party's vote has a big line of relationship with how the general election is going to go. So we can look forward, but I see as if we're transitioning from the old guard to the new. So expect very new faces in the political arena. Even in the appointments in the cabinet, it will be reflected therein, because surely the winds of change must come naturally. Even if you delay them for how long, the time must come when the winds of change come. So I don't know if this is happening naturally, or if it is someone has noticed that, you know what,
Things have to change.
things have to change, and they decide to change that way. In the coming week, we're continuing to watch the political space mostly to see how other parties respond. We're yet to get the flag bearers of the National Unity
The
platform.
It will break the news very soon.
It will break the news. We expect a lot of news to come through that.
I get
you
it. It
know,
will be a rich
Yes.
time for
it will
those
be.
who break the news.
It will be. And let's watch the political space and also how other parties continue to fare the square up to 2026.
Thank you
Welcome.
for having us and feeding the nation and helping us break the news and what made news in the week. So as the ruling party continues to assert itself and protecting the gains that they think they have for the nation, we wait to see how that will turn out, even more, and how the economy will change. I think the weather is now fair in the country on all the regions, and even the people who didn't receive rain in the Kato corridor have received some rain. We had very many deaths reported for animals in the extreme of the weather, but all the regions of the country are now receiving some fair share of the rain. It's well, and all is well back at home, and we hope that it can
All is
continue
not
to
well,
be.
Harold. I think that the weather pattern, we must find a way of making that permanent, because as you have seen, what are we going to do now to shield ourselves from the next long drought?
Extremes.
The next long drought.
Mechanized and modern farming techniques.
Yes, we have to find that. Otherwise, it's going to be in season. We are grateful. Out of season, in the long droughts, animals are dying. So we must find a permanent solution and find it soon. This is not.
I happen to represent a client whose capacity for the factory that uses partly maize cannot even find a quarter of his capacity in Uganda.
Wow.
And they are going to Tanzania to look
Zambia.
and to Zambia, all the way down to Zambia. And they try to get exemptions from URA and they can't. And there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that we can tap into if we can sit on the table and see what needs to be emphasized and realign our priorities.
Sure.
We will end the checkmate on that. And thank you for coming today. Special thanks to our producer. And
Yes.
though he's looking suspicious, but also people who are hosting us at Pelton.
Yes.
If you are shooting anything, not the normal photo studios, but if you have a podcast, if you are hosting anything and you want a very beautiful space, as you can see in the background, please reach out to Pelton. The name is running down on the screen and the contacts that you can call, and they'll be sure to host you and you can book an appointment.
Beautiful space, wonderful lighting, good sound system, everything that you need.
The room is
You'll
scented.
find here at Peloton Spaces. They are hosts for this podcast, The Checkmate.
Thank you for tuning in and giving us your attention. We see you next week as we discuss what will be making news in the Pearl of Africa. But for me and my friend Nicholas, see you and thank you very much. God bless you.